Hello my friends, today we'll be examining the autosomal DNA results, predicted phenotype traits, and GDMET results of another catacomb culture sample, once again from the Northern Caucasus. Now, once again at this point, I'm noticing a pattern with these catacomb culture samples, and it is in contrary to what I've been told by some of these commenters on my channel. The catacomb culture, in case you don't know what that is, let me look it up for you. Catacomb culture. It is an Indo-European culture, a proto-Indo-European culture from the Pontic-Caspian steppe. They are a mixture of the Eastern hunter-gatherers with the Caucasian hunter-gatherers. They are ancestral to various Indo-European groups in Europe and West Asia. They are kind of similar to the Yamnaya culture and to Khvalynsk and Repin and various other Western steppe herders who lived in this region in the Pontic-Caspian steppe. But what's interesting about these catacomb culture samples in the south of the Pontic-Caspian steppe, especially in this region right here in Stavropolsky Krai, it is that they are very southern. They have a lot more of the CHG admixture, a lot more of this Caucasus hunter-gatherer, Caucasian admixture, and less of the Eastern hunter-gatherer, Eastern European hunter-gatherer admixture. So Eastern hunter-gatherer admixture would be this Eastern European hunter-gatherers that lived in the north of in this region in the north, whereas the Caucasian or Caucasus hunter-gatherer admixture uh, would be the Mesolithic population that lived in the south in this region in Georgia, Azerbaijan, in this in a more southern population that lived right here in the Caucasus. So these catacomb culture people from this region, from Stavropolsky Krai, they were actually much more southern. It looks like, because at this point I'm looking at the third sample from this region, from this culture, and this is the third sample I'm noticing who has such a southern profile. Because look at this. This is what this sample is scoring with Eurogenske 13, and the closest populations to this sample, the top 10 closest populations are all West Asian groups. Number 1 it's Tabasaran, number 2 it's Chechen, number 3 it's Lezgin, number 4 it's Tajik, number 5 it's Kabardin, number 6 it's Tatar, number 7 Nagai, number 8 Kumyk, number 9 North Ossetian, number 10 Pashtun. All of these top 10 groups are West Asian groups. There is no Europeans anywhere among the top 10 closest groups. So this is clearly a very West Asian individual. Very interesting oracle. So the closest groups to this individual are West Asian groups. Nonetheless, there's still quite a lot of Eastern hunter-gatherer admixture in this individual, because if you look at the groups that he scores, he's scoring 37% West Asian, but he's still scoring 33.86% Baltic and 19.35% North Atlantic. He's still scoring quite a lot of the European components. If I had to estimate, I would say he's around 40 or maybe 35% Eastern hunter-gatherer in his admixture, and the rest is Caucasus hunter-gatherer, and maybe even Iranian Neolithic farmer. Maybe he even has some Iranian Neolithic farmer admixture as well. I'm not sure, but maybe there is some Anatolian Neolithic farmer admixture as well. Actually, that's kind of difficult to determine from this oracle. But for the mixed mode oracle, the closest mixture seems to be a mixture of Tabasaran plus Lithuanian. That's the closest mixture, 64.45% Tabasaran plus 35% Lithuanian. The second closest mixture is 65% Tabasaran plus 34% Lithuanian. So it looks like, relative to Tabasaran and Dagestani people, there is like a little bit of a shift towards Northeast Europeans. So he's not entirely like a Dagestani, he's not entirely a West Asian individual, but still he's majority West Asian. He's majority a West Asian person. Let's see what the haplogroup is. So with my trait predictor, the haplogroup that was determined for him is R1b. The official haplogroup is R1b-KMS 75. That doesn't tell me anything. The mitochondrial lineage for him is R1A1A. Very interesting mitochondrial lineage. I was not aware that this is a mitochondrial lineage that exists. Let's see what he scores for my trait predictor ethnic calculator. Let's see what he scores for that. That might be quite cool to see. So with 229 S&Ps, the closest group he scores is New Grange Neolithic farmer from Britain, followed by Corded Ware, Givakarai 1, followed by Yamne from Kalmykia, followed by Global Ram for culture, followed by Anatolia Iron Age Luvians, followed by Belbikers from Britain, followed by Volga Kai Iron Age. Very interesting. He's quite close to Yamne from Kalmykia though, so that's I guess the most reasonable reasonable guess for him. The closest mixture for him is a mixture of Sarmatian from Urals from British. The second closest mixture is Sarmatian from Urals plus Belbeker, and the third closest mixture is Sarmatian from Urals plus Belbeker from Britain. So seems like the closest mixtures are all a mixture of Sarmatian from Urals plus some kind of British or Belbeker. Okay, quite cool, quite interesting. I guess it's okay. It's a decent prediction. It's all right. It's not that bad. Let's close this. Let's see what he scores for Nasha code calculator results. Let's see what he looks like. What phenotype he has. Okay, so it looks like for eye color he has most likely brown or hazel eye color. Um, Dark brown eyes are sort of possible as well, but like not very probable. 19% likelihood of that. Possible, but not very probable. Green eyes or blue eyes with a mirror center or blue eyes, not very probable at all. Very improbable. So most likely he has brown eyes or hazel eyes. Hazel eyes are also quite possible. When it comes to hair color distribution, most likely he has dark brown hair. Black hair is also quite possible, but not very probable. And everything else is not very possible. For skin color likelihood distribution, most likely he has light brown or olive skin tone. Everything else is not very probable or possible. For hair texture, looks like he most likely has curly or wavy hair. Okay. For coloring related variants found in the file, looks like he does not have blue eye haplotype 3 or 2 or 1 or 4. Doesn't have any of the blue eye haplotypes. And he actually has a one light color variant in this variation of MC1R, so he does have a little bit of a predisposition to ginger hair, but it's not really enough to give him any kind of predisposition to ginger hair in reality, because obviously, if you don't have any of the blue eye haplotypes, the likelihood of you having ginger hair is very little. Very little. It's still higher than like blonde, right? But it's nothing. It's obviously nothing because no blue eye haplotypes. Okay, let's see the phenotype oracle. So the closest phenotypes to him is this, which is kind of like a dark version of alpinid, darker alpinid. Then this, which is sort of like a Central Asian phenotype. Then this, which is a Mediterranean phenotype. And for the two-way mixtures, he's getting modeled as a mixture of essentially, just to simplify it, a mixture of intermediate colored European plus South Asian. Like intermediate color European plus South Asian seems to be the overarching theme for all of these phenotype mixtures. A mixture of European with intermediate pigmentation plus South Asian. Like for example, this right here is a European with green eyes and blonde or dirty blonde hair, and this right here is a South Asian with black hair and black eye color. So in reality, his pigmentation will be somewhere intermediate between that. So dark brown hair and brown eyes, which is essentially what was predicted for him. Um, or for example here, so the on the top the person has green eyes and brown hair, and on the bottom the person has black hair and on the top the person has green eyes, brown hair, and pale skin. On the bottom has um, dark brown eyes, black hair, and dark brown skin. So in reality, the mixture of the two produces somebody with um, light brown skin and hazel or light brown eyes and dark brown hair, which is what the prediction is for this person actually. So that's how the mixture ends up approximating what the person actually scores with their nashakot. So there you go. Um, I feel like this result right here is a little bit of an outlier because you can see the South Asian model is a little bit like lighter, so it's kind of interesting. The South Asian model here is visibly lighter than than the South Asian models in all of these models, which is kind of interesting. But essentially, the overarching theme here is that this person is a lot darker than like typical for Europeans. Okay, now let's see what this person scores for the biomarkers panels. This individual has got a predisposition to higher than average levels of vitamin D, a predisposition to below average levels of LDL cholesterol, which is definitely really good, above average levels of HDL cholesterol, which is also really good, a below average level of glucose, really good, really good stuff, a above average level of hemoglobin, that's okay, a average blood pressure, quite good, average level of iron in blood, average level of sex hormone binding globulin, a below average level of red blood cell count in blood, a slightly above average number of base pairs for the telomere length, quite good, and a slightly above average height, quite cool. So the expected height is something I added yesterday. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. It's I didn't want to add height because it's like, yeah, I don't know, stupid, but well, it's whatever. So this person is supposed to be a little bit taller than average, quite cool. Okay, now let's see the polygenic risk scores. So he's got a predisposition to slightly below average odds for PCOS, a predisposition to average odds for cataracts, average odds for age-related macular degeneration, average odds for rheumatoid arthritis, average odds for Tourette's, average odds for epilepsy, average odds for asthma, average odds for leukemia, high odds for vitiligo, average odds for myopia, average odds for primary biliary cirrhosis, average odds for stroke, average odds for male pattern hair loss, average odds for atrial fibrillation. Nothing was found for deep vein thrombosis, average odds for bipolar type 1, average odds for schizophrenia, average odds for type 2 diabetes, very high odds for Alzheimer's, low odds for multiple sclerosis. He's got 2 risk variants for breast cancer out of 10, which is quite okay. These are I don't recognize these. One risk variant for testicular cancer out of 6, which is really good. So he's quite safe from testicular cancer. 3 risk variants for celiac disease out of 10. I don't recognize these. No risk variants for GSS. 5 risk variants for Crohn's out of 10, which is kind of bad. Um, Nothing was found for Riefenstein's. No risk variants for Parkinson's. No risk variants for Gilbert's. No risk variants for basal cell carcinoma. No risk variants for GCD, and no risk variants for Vardamirk. So it looks quite good. But what do we have to worry about? We have to worry about Alzheimer's. It looks like, and we have to worry about um, what else? I remember vitiligo, but vitiligo, not really, not really, not really. We're gonna look at that a little bit later. So let's look at the monogenic traits. So it looks like this person has um warrior genotype in MAOA. So this person's got a slightly slower breakdown of dopamine, therefore higher dopamine levels. This person's got a predisposition to intermediate number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain. This person's got um let's see, no genotype for 5-HTTLPR. Unfortunately, I can't talk about that. This person's got higher odds of autism based on genotypes relevant to autism. Predisposition to lower levels of empathy, which is quite unfortunate. Does not carry the European lactose persistence mutation. Um, we remember he was scoring quite high for Alzheimer's, so it looks like there is no genotypes for APOE, but there are some genotypes that correlate to increased risk of Alzheimer's, such as this one, for example, which is quite important when it comes to risk for Alzheimer's. No risk variance for MS in HLA, which is really important, so that's quite good. Um, no risk variance for epilepsy or asthma, really good stuff. Um, he's got one risk variant for G6PD deficiency in here, so which is interesting. If male, this is a miscall, so quite interesting. So this is probably a miscall. It's interesting that I spotted this actually. Yeah, so there's some inconsistencies when it comes to the file quality here. I think this is probably a miscall. Yeah. For the facial morphology oracle, let's explore that panel a little bit. So he's got European genotype in EDAR. He's got shorter mid-face length. He's got decreased odds of protruding nasal bridge, more upturned nose, smaller nose size, likely lower nasolabial angle, which means nose drooping down. That's quite rare. I don't see that very often. Likely has mandibular lower molar and lower odds of tooth agenesis. Quite cool. Um, okay. No variance for increased pain sensitivity in SC and 9A. For alcoholism panel, he's got slightly above average risk for alcoholism. Okay, for MCHFR panel, this is something I normally never talk about, but for MCHFR, he actually has this genotype right here, which leads to a 10 to 20% efficiency in processing folic acid, which is a great reduction in efficiency in processing folic acid, which leads to a higher odds for a variety of illnesses from autism to coronary heart disease. Definitely something worth mentioning. Um, he's got GG genotype here, which is very rare, and he's a carrier of two risk alleles for neural tube defects in spina bifida. Very, very uncommon genotype. He's got AA here, which leads to a decreased risk of rheumatoid arthritis. I think that's also really uncommon. He's got TT here, which leads to a 5.2 times risk of rheumatoid arthritis, though. So he's got some genotypes that greatly reduce risk of rheumatoid arthritis, but also some genotypes that greatly increase the risk of rheumatoid arthritis. Quite interesting. Um, he's got this genotype in EZ2R, which leads to a significant reduction in the likelihood of male pattern hair loss. Really good stuff. For celiac disease, looks like no risk variance in HLA gene. Really good stuff to see once again. Crohn's disease, androgen receptor gene, AR panel allergies, looks like nothing at all was found. For Canavan syndrome, looks like no risk variance for Canavan syndrome. Really good stuff. Um, for HIV and AIDS panel, no protective evidence from HIV. Typical stuff. For HLA gene panel, based on everything, all the data that's been in the file, we can make the assumption that he probably has lower odds of autoimmune disease based on all the data that's in the file. Quite good. For the muscular dystrophy myopathies, looks like he does not have any risk alleles for that. Quite good stuff. For color blindness panel, looks like no risk variance for color blindness in any of the um, variations that were found on the file. Good stuff. For FCO gene panel, looks like he has this genotype which correlates to much higher BMI, so he actually does have some predispositions to obesity in FTO. Um, when it comes to other genes that are also implicated with obesity, he has some genotypes that correlate to obesity, but some other genotypes that correlate to lower risk of obesity and insulin sensitivity. For syncope panel, looks like nothing was found, no SNPs. For biotraits panel, he's got 2 copies of the hunter-gatherer CLTCL1 gene variant, which leads to reduced ability to process carbs and sugars. He's got GG here, which leads to being able to detect beta iodine floral fragrance. And it looks like he's got, for vitamins and levels, he's got a genotype that leads to a significant decrease in vitamin B6 levels, which is definitely quite interesting. For blood group panel, his predicted blood type is type O, although type A is also quite possible. This was done, I remind you, this was done on the basis of only 3 SNPs, so like predicted blood type on the basis of 3 SNPs is not going to be very accurate, but on the basis of these 3 SNPs, most likely his blood type is type O or type A. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you for this sample for this individual. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had some fun watching me talk about this sample. Um, I do suggest you buy my tool on itch while it is still $13. If you buy it now, you will get to get the update because I will be releasing a big update on May 22nd. And you will get that update for free. You don't have to purchase it again. You'll get that update for free. But the people who don't buy it now, people who have to wait, people who will wait later, they will have to buy it later at an increased price because I will be increasing the price after May 22nd. So, get it now while you still can. Anyway, I leave a like and subscribe. I do want to remind you that you can download the file that I've been analyzing in this video from link which is in the description of the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.